Clear? So, anger is bad or bad? Bad. So, number one. Number two. Control your anger. Control your anger. This is another quality of al-muttaqeen. Those who make it to Jannah, right? Okay. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continued the ayah by saying, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. So the next one is, there are also people who forgive and forget. Let me say this again. Ya'fu doesn't mean only to forgive. Ya'fu means to forgive and forget. Why? Because some of us, and I want you to show by hands now, who amongst you can forgive but they still have it in their hearts? They cannot forget what happened. Raise your hand. That is bad. I don't mean to make you feel bad, but you have to feel bad. You know why? Because Aisha radiallahu anha came to the Prophet and she said, Prophet of Allah, teach me a dua that I should say when I'm seeking the night of Al-Qadr. And the Prophet ﷺ gave her a very concise dua, yet but it's a very deep dua. He said, Aisha, say, Allahumma innaka afuun tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. People in my country, you know, I'm originally Egyptian, they need to add spices to the dua, which is not good, okay? So I hear people like in Ramadan saying, Allahumma innaka afuun kareemun haleemun. Whoa, hold on. You don't know better than the Prophet ﷺ. He made it very simple. He said, Allahumma innaka afu. That's it. Tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. Why? Why didn't he add kareemun, haleemun that you add? Because afu is enough. And afu is very deep in meaning. What's the meaning of afu as an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It means, Ya Allah, you are the one who loves to forgive and erase the sins. Please forgive me and erase my sins. Is that clear? So what else do you want in Ramadan? The fruit of Ramadan is to come out of Ramadan with all of your sins forgiven. And if your sins are forgiven, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ, what comes next? Jannah. Isn't that clear? So, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you and erase your sins, what do you need to do with the human beings like you? You need to learn how to forgive them and also forget about the wrong things that they have done to you. Is that clear? So if you need afu from Allah, you need to do afu to people. Is that clear? This is why it's not easy for anyone, it's only al-muttaqeen. So from now on, brothers and sisters, those who raise their hands, you need to learn how to forgive and it's not enough to stop at forgiving without forgetting. Shall I give you a real example from real life? Yeah. You know, married people will know this. You know, a husband and a wife will have a fight before they go to bed. And the man will feel that he was wrong. So following day, he's going to buy her a gift. And normally, the least gift you can give a wife is something made of gold or made of silk. That's the least you can give, okay? That's why you'll have nothing in your balance by the end of the month. Anyway, so he'll buy her something and he will come and say, honey, I'm sorry. He's going to say, okay, I forgive you. Does this mean I forgive you? And then 1 month goes by and a fight starts again. And then the man again is wrong because he has issues with temper, right? Then he goes back and buy a new dress and he gives her a gift and say, honey, I'm sorry again. She said, I forgive you like last time. Does this mean forgiveness? She's even saying like last time. Why do you bring it up? Because it's still there. Didn't you forgive me? Yes, but I still have it here. The record is there. Is that clear? That is wrong. So you need to learn how to forgive and Allahu Akbar. My candy is here, so the quiz is on. Can you see that? That's candy, okay? Okay. So, quality number one, spending. That's what they do in teaching, right? They keep summarizing, right? Number one, spending. Number two, control anger. Control anger. Number three, forgive and forget. Excellent. Next. وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and Allah loves those who do ihsan. Allah loves those who do good. Okay, let me try to tie the last two parts to this one. Sometimes somebody might come and make you angry. Does this happen? Your brother, your sister, your teacher, your neighbor, whatever it is, right? Then a student, oh, hold on. Don't tell me. Okay? Now, you control your anger, right? Some people stop at that. They just control their anger. But they don't know how to forgive. You did this to me every time I see you, right? Second, some people are better than this. They know how to control their anger and forgive. Some people are even better. They control their anger, they forgive and forget. You know the best? The next one. The best are those who control their anger, they forgive, forget, and they do good to the one who wronged them. Wow. Say wow. Wow. Shame on you. Say mashallah. Or just follow me and say wow. Excellent. So basically this is the best. This is the top. So number one, you control your anger. Number two, if you are better, you do what? Forgive. If you are better, you do forgive and forget. And the best are those who do good to the one who wronged them, who did wrong to them, right? Wow, subhanallah. Isn't this amazing? Yes. Shall I give you an example? Yes. Excellent. This is like, there is a weak narration that the Prophet ﷺ had a neighbor, next door neighbor who was Jewish. And that man used to throw the trash, the garbage in front of his door every day. How would the Prophet ﷺ react? Would he say, hey, Umar, come, take care of that man? Would he do that? Would he hire some of the Muslims, like Khalid ibn Walid, come, bring some people, some arms, take care of this guy? No. What did the Prophet ﷺ do? Would he even throw the garbage again in front of the man's door? No. Well, what's the Allahu Akbar? We have more stuff. Wow, mashallah. Do you know this? This is for special people. So I'm going to keep this for me for now until somebody claims it. Those who will give me the best answers, they're going to come to this area, okay? Those who will give me the normal answer will be here. Those who will not give no answer, they're going to spend the night with me here. Okay, so going back. What's the police number here? 999. Yes. Excellent. Did the Prophet ﷺ call 999 in Malaysia? No. What did he used to do? He used to take the garbage and throw it away. Did he talk to his neighbor? No. Did he blame him? No. Some people today, they say, yeah, if you are weak, you can do this. You have to show your muscles. No, that's not weakness. To control your anger, to forgive and forget, and to do good to the one who wronged you, you are one of al-muttaqeen who will make it to Jannah. Right? So the Prophet ﷺ used to take the garbage and throw it away. Until one day he came out and there was no garbage. So he went to check on his neighbor. And he knocked on his door. And the man said, who? He said, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, what brought you to my house? You could have said, Mr. Garbage, I didn't see your garbage, that's why I come to see you. He didn't say that. Subhanallah, he didn't say that. Look at what he said. He said, التمستك فلم أجدك فجئت لأعودك. I missed you today. He didn't say I missed your garbage today, right? He said, I didn't see you today, meaning I didn't see the message of every day, right? So I come just to check on you. Maybe you need some help or you need me. Isn't this amazing? And this is what we're missing today, the akhlaq, the manners, right? This is what Islam is all about. Islam is not about memorizing the whole Quran without acting upon it. It's useless if you just memorize the Quran. It will be something against you on the day of judgment. We need to translate the Quran into a way of life. And this is why when Aisha radiallahu anha was asked, كيف كان خلق النبي? How was the manners of the Prophet? She said, كان خلقه القرآن. He was a Quran moving on earth. So you can see the Quran in its actions. Right? So, the man said to him, don't you get angry by the trash that I throw in front of your door every day? He said, I do. He said, why don't you come to fight? He said, our deen commands us to be patient with our neighbors. Our deen commands us to be patient with our neighbors, even if they're doing something bad. So now did the Prophet ﷺ apply the whole ayah here? Hello? Malaysia? Did he apply the whole ayah? Yes. Did he control his anger?
Yes.
Forgive and isn't this amazing?
Yes.
Al-Bukhari rahimahullah, he was blind. Al-Bukhari rahimahullah was blind. So he was sitting one day with his students, and he had the container of ink next to him where they were writing the book that we have now, the most authentic book after the Quran, Sahih al-Bukhari. Okay? So while he was sitting there, his mate came by, and by mistake she pushed his elbow pushed the ink, and the ink splashed on the book, and everything was gone. How did al-Bukhari rahimahullah react to this? You know, today, if it's a master-servant relationship, how do the masters, react when a slave makes a mistake? Right? They're gonna abuse them physically. They're gonna hit them. They can't fire them because they're owned by them. We're talking about a slave, right? Subhanallah. You know what al-Bukhari did? He applied this ayah. First thing, he smiled. And then he turned around and he called the men. He said, go, you are free for the sake of Allah. And they said, hold on. Imam Bukhari, what are you teaching us today? She made a mistake. She should be punished. You see, the understanding of the normal people like me and you? Let's look at al-Bukhari. He thought about the Quran. And he thought about this ayah. He said, no! I remember what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Imran. وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ. So I controlled my anger. وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. And those who forgive and forget. So I forgive and forget. Right? وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So what ihsan can I do to this woman? Just to set her free. So he did what? وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. He did the three. Right? He controlled his anger. He didn't say any word. He didn't hit her. He forgave and forgot what she did. And he did ihsan to her. He did good to her. What? He set her free after she was a slave. You see how those people understood the Quran? Do you want to be amongst the muttaqeen?
Yes.
Do you want to make it to those who race for the forgiveness of Allah in Jannah?
Yes.
Number one is
Spending.
Number two,
Controlling anger.
controlling anger. Number three,
Forgiving and forget.
number four,
Do good to those who wrong you.
do good to those who wronged you. Let me conclude with the last one. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ ذَكَرُوا اللَّهَ فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا لِذُنُوبِهِمْ وَمَنْ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَمَنْ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَلَمْ يُصِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ. The last quality of al-muttaqeen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ. There are also those, when they commit a sin, or when they wrong themselves, ذَكَرُوا اللَّهِ. They remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, do we all make mistakes? Say yes or yes.
Yes.
Come on, be honest. Say yes or yes.
Yes.
Do we make mistakes every day?
Yes.
Every hour?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay. The Prophet ﷺ told us, كل ابن آدم خطاء, right? There's no exception. All the sons of Adam, not only, he didn't say in Arabic, by the way, خاطئ or مخطئ. There's a difference between خاطئ and مخطئ and خطاء. Okay? خاطئ means somebody who makes a mistake on purpose. They know what's right, but they opt for what's wrong. مخطئ is someone who makes a mistake by mistake, without knowing. But خطاء صيغة مبالغة. It's someone who is in a constant state of making mistakes. So when the Prophet ﷺ described us, he didn't say خاطئ or مخطئ, he said خطاء. We make mistakes all the time. Yet, the good news. Would you like to hear the good news?
Yes.
He said, وَخَيْرُ الْخَطَّئِينَ التَّوَّابُونَ. And the best amongst those who make mistakes are those who are always in a constant state of turning back to Allah and making tawbah, asking Allah for forgiveness. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayah said, and they are those when they commit a sin or they wrong themselves, what do? ذكروا الله. They remember Allah. Then Allah said, فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا, and ask your teacher of Arabic. He'll say, fa, to feel sur'at at-tartib wal-ta'qib. The fa here means they do not take time to go back to Allah. They go to Allah instantaneously. They do not procrastinate. They do not delay. They're not going to say next year, or when I do Umrah, or when I get married, or when I become old. No, they go back to Allah right away. فَاسْتَغْفَرُوا. So they go back to Allah and they seek His forgiveness. وَمَنْ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Who else other than Allah would forgive sins? No one. وَلَمْ يُصِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا. They don't insist on committing the same sin again and again and again. They learn through their mistakes. وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ, and they know. So what's the last one? Turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness after committing a sin or wronging oneself. Let's summarize them again. So number one, spending at all times, right? Number two,
Control the anger.
controlling anger. Number three,
Forgive and forget.
forgive and forget. Number five,
Do good to those.
that was number four, okay? It's number four, okay. Okay, doing good to those who wronged you. Number five, tawbah after any sin or mistake, right? These are the qualities of al-muttaqin. Before I conclude, inshallah, I would like to share something with the young people who are my age, 16 and below. Raise your hands. 16 and below. Excellent. I have a question for you. Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Do I look younger than 16? Okay, some people are confused about that. Anyway. Okay, here's the question. Is there something called friendship? I didn't finish the question. Okay? Is there something called friendship between... I didn't finish the question, okay? Is there something called friendship between the two genders? Meaning the male and the female? Especially if they hit 16 like me? Okay, now the question is complete. Let me repeat it again. Is there something called a boyfriend and a girlfriend in Islam? Astaghfirullah. Say astaghfirullah. Okay. Let me tell you this. Let me do this. 4 years ago, I was in Malaysia teaching my own class. It's not a marriage class, it's my own class. I don't know if somebody heard about it or not. It's called Engagement Before Engagement. It's called Engagement Before Engagement, okay? Marriage in Islam from A to Z, okay? In that class, it's a very humorous class. I make everybody laugh, but they learn also at the same time. And sometimes even they cry. We talk about everything in Islam about marriage. And I know some people who are teenagers, they start getting confused. Can I have a friend from the opposite gender or not in Islam? And let me tell you this. Can you repeat this after me? We love dates.
We love dates.
Please repeat. We love dates.
We love dates.
but we never date.
but we never date.
That's it. Think about it again. Let's repeat it. We love dates.
We love dates,
It's sunnah to eat dates in the morning, right? But we never date.
but we never date.
Is that clear?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So always remember this message. The Prophet ﷺ used to eat 7 dates in the morning. It's very healthy. But we never date. Which means, one day I teach at Al-Azhar. I teach Islamic studies in English. That makes dua who come to the West to teach Islam in the Faculty of Languages and Translation, and there's a division under that department called Islamic Studies in English. This is for men, because in Al-Azhar, there's no co-education, it's separate. Once the people hit that age, okay, they're separate. When they're young, even at Al-Azhar, they're separate from the beginning. That's another philosophy of teaching, okay? But I also teach English as a language and translation between English and Arabic. And as the brother said, I'm an interpreter with the United Nations for the last 20 years. Even though I'm 16, I don't know how it works, but anyway. But the question here is, I teach English and translation at the Faculty of the Humanities for women only. So it's only women. And one day, while I'm going to work in that Faculty of Women, we have 2 faculties for women and 2 faculties next to them for men. 2 faculties for women is one where I teach is called the Faculty of Humanities, and just opposite that is the Faculty of Commerce. This is absolutely women. Behind us there's the Faculty of Education for men and the Faculty of Sharia for men. So in the morning when they come out of the train, I can see them, mashallah, walking in couples. Okay? Then one time I stopped a couple of them and I said, Assalamu alaikum. And they were like, and I asked the guy, I said, is she your sister? He said, no. I said, is she your wife? He said, no. I said, then there's something wrong. Because these are the 2 only allowed situations where you're going to be walking with her hand in hand. If she's your sister, if she's your wife. But even if she's your cousin, you can't be in hands. Right? Even if she's studying and she's coming from the same village like you can't be friends. Right? And wallahi, there's a YouTube clip. Maybe later on, inshallah, you can watch it. There are some young men in the West, in the United States and in Canada, they're making interviews of boyfriends and girlfriends, and they're asking them. They ask the boy, would you ever consider marrying that girl? He would say no, because she's an easy girl. I'm just passing time with her. But the one that will be the mother of my kids, she shouldn't be like this. So if you make yourself so cheap to go with someone, this is how he looks at you. And then they asked the man, they said, that girl that's walking with you now, she's your girlfriend. Do you look at her as a friend, or are you looking for something else in that relationship? He said, no, of course. There's nothing called friendship between a man and a woman. I want something from her. And once I get that thing from her, she's not my friend anymore. So you see how that man looks at you if you become a girlfriend? Is that clear? And I'll tell you this, in the United States of America, which is the only superpower in the world today, there are 44 million single mothers living in slums, very poor areas. Do you know who are these 44 million single mothers? They were ex-girlfriends. A man spent a month or 2 with them, a year or 2 with them, and they left them pregnant with a child or 2, and they're not interested in them anymore because they can see younger and prettier girls. And that's how it is happening. So Islam looks at you as a very precious person. You're not so cheap to be a friend with someone who's not respecting you. And this is how I concluded my conversation with them. I said, are you going to marry her? And he didn't give me a direct answer. And I looked at her and I said, you see, he's not even thinking about marrying you. Then I turned back to him. I said, do you have a sister? He said, yes. I said, can you give me her number because I want to be a friend with her. He said, shame on you, how dare you say this? I said, why would you accept to be a friend to this one? Isn't she your sister in Islam? I said, you see, he wouldn't let his sister do what you're doing, which means he does not respect you. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to use logic with both of them. And then until that point, they didn't know who I am. Because I was dressed in casual. Because I thought maybe I'm just an employee at the university. Then I said, can you give me your IDs, please? Because I'm a professor at the university and I want to stop this relationship because it's haram. At that point, they panicked. And they said, we will not do this again. I said, are you afraid of me? I'm a human being like you. Why don't you be conscious of Allah? Because this is wrong. If your father or your brother saw you now, would you still be walking together or would you run away from him? And would he run away from you? She said, yes. I said, so it's better to fear Allah, not to fear a human being. Is that clear? Yes. So in Islam, alhamdulillah, if you want to get married, and inshallah you will get married to the right person, he's the one who's honest enough, who's a man enough to come and knock on your door and say, uncle, I'm so-and-so, and I'm coming to ask the hand of your daughter in marriage. This is the real man. But the man who knows you through Fasad book is not a man. The man who knows you through Fasad book is not a real man. The man who knows you through Windows, Microsoft Windows, okay, not through the door of your father, is not a real man. The man who knows you through the phone is not a real man. Because if your dad comes in while you're talking with him over the phone, what would you do? Would you say, come dad, I'm going to put him on the speaker? Or would you hang up or stop talking? So at that point you should look up and say, Allah can hear what I'm saying. Allah can see what I'm saying. And this is one quality of al-muttaqeen. They always know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can see them. The last message I want to give, is my time still okay? Okay. The last message I want to share with you is for my colleagues, the teachers. I want to tell you something. You're doing the best job in the world. You're establishing a new model that I have never seen in this part of the world. Because the good news is from a hadith narrated by Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu in Sahih Muslim. He said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best amongst you are those who learn the Quran and they teach it. And that's part of what you're doing here. And then the Prophet ﷺ also said, Man kharaja, whoever leaves his house, whether you're seeking knowledge or providing knowledge, those who seek knowledge, they are fi sabilillahi hatta yarja. They are as if they are doing jihad for the sake of Allah until they come back home. And the Prophet ﷺ said, the angels lay down their wings out of respect and humility for those who teach people good. And that's what you're doing. Keep up the good work you're doing. And always check your intention that you're doing what you're doing only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though you get paid for this, you get compensated for this, but this is nothing compared to the reward awaiting for you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This young generation who will be the leaders of tomorrow, if we plant two things in them, knowledge, and when I say knowledge, I don't mean that narrow-minded opinion of some people. They think that knowledge is only knowledge of the Quran or knowledge of the Hadith. No, the Ummah needs all types of knowledge. Human sciences are needed. The Sahaba were not all teachers of the Quran and the Hadith. There were carpenters, there were blacksmiths, there were, all types of jobs, businessmen. So even I was so happy to know that they're teaching you, Mandarin, right? Why? Because there was a Sahabi called Zayd ibn Thabit, radiallahu anhu, the one that I look up to because I'm a linguist, and he was the best linguist at that time. He's the one who chaired the committee that gathered the Quran in one volume that we have in our hands today. It's amazing to know this, brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ wanted someone to learn Hebrew, and he sent Zayd ibn Thabit. He learned Hebrew in 17 days. You see, I saw some people went like this, right? Yeah, it is. You know why? Because it takes one of us today 4 years at the university just to scratch the surface of the language, and then they have to send you to the States to live for 50 years and come back to speak with English. Right? It took Zayd ibn Thabit 17 days to learn Hebrew, and he was the interpreter of the Prophet ﷺ when a Jewish delegation would come to speak with him. Is that clear? So we need human sciences as long as the intention is to serve the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think this is the main principle behind the great foundation called, you say the name of the school behind me? Reda Bedeir, right? That is the main philosophy behind the establishment of this great institute. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless the founder, the chairman, the administration, the teachers, the workers, and the best ones who are serving here, the students. Ameen, ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi.